fantastic entree for me to kind of understand how the industry works and the excitement that everybody has for it, so it's good. So, first and foremost, as we talked about, some people have heard, we're going through a rebrand. And what that rebrand, what does it actually entail? So we're going to ask the question of why change and why now? Well, as we just heard from the Federal Affairs Committee up here and the panel, the political and regulatory landscape has changed significantly. That's got to be the most captain obvious thing in the world, right? And the new universe demands that we as an organization in an industry start going forward with the forward-thinking approach that doesn't solve the problems today or solve the problems of yesterday, but really provides us an absolute platform in order to solve the problems that are going into the future. Because unless we start doing that, we're not going to be able to plan out a trajectory of growth and sustainable growth for the industry for the next 10, 15, 20 years. We're always going to be reactive. And ultimately, we took a look and said, look, how do we provide more value for our members? So not only does the landscape change, but we've got to look at how we provide value for our retailers as well as our manufacturers and understand what do we need to do. The rebrand, it's not just about a name, it's not just about colors or a logo, it's really ultimately about what we do for you and how we add value to you in your daily lives, helping you to do your business better, make more money, decrease costs, everybody wins, right? More profits. So what's in a name? IPCPR. I understand the history here. I think everybody understands the history. And as we looked at it, we engaged with a professional agency, went through months of research and stakeholder interviews, retailer members, former board members that were part of this name change, sales reps, manufacturers, even including consumers and those that are on Capitol Hill as well. But what's interesting is that in about 100 plus visits that I've done on Capitol Hill and political agencies and regulatory agencies, this is ultimately what ends up happening. And you can imagine some of the consternation when people see CPR and it's a tobacco lobbying organization. Funny little story here. This is not funny, mind you, and it's anecdotal, but it's also indicative of kind of what happens the majority of the times when I have meetings on Capitol Hill. So when the Tobacco Control Act happened, it wasn't necessarily Ag-Approach that oversaw the cigars anymore. A lot of health legislative assistants and legislative directors now oversee tobacco when it comes to different congressional offices. So one of our consultants here made an appointment for us for an office that we hadn't quite visited yet, so we went up, and on her calendar, she was the health legislative assistant, and on the calendar it said IPCPR. When we sat down with her, she was expecting to meet with a group that was of EMTs or people devoted to CPR, literally. So it took me the first 5 or 10 minutes of getting over her disappointment that not only was it not EMTs that she was talking to, she was actually talking to a tobacco organization, and then to explain the IPCPR. And when we're on meetings on Capitol Hill, the first 5 or 10 minutes is often the most impactful, and it's often, if we spend that talking and trying to explain our name, we're already lost behind the game. As you can imagine, that was not necessarily the most successful or fruitful meeting that we had. So when we took a look at this and we interviewed lots of folks, like I said, stakeholders, when we're thinking about this, we have a pretty interesting Venn diagram when we look at this. So when we look at our retailers and we look at our manufacturers, we've got a lot of overlap. There's a lot of room between those circles. But the thing is that our rebrand, our name, what gives us credibility on Capitol Hill right now, our name needs to have a stature and a credibility larger than what currently exists. We're doing a great job. We've done a great job over the past few years. We're punching above our weight class. We're making some good headways. But really, honestly, when we come into this Venn diagram, there's a very tiny overlap with regulators and policymakers. And if I'm spending 10 minutes, or Josh, or Rachel, or any of our other consultants that are out there in state lobbying, we're spending 10 minutes describing our name and what it stands for, and the fact that CPR is in the name, it becomes very difficult for us. So this is the bullseye we were going for. So, on that note, I would like to introduce you to what our new brand is. And I hope we have, we get sound. You know what, I'm just going to do.
IPCPR has been driven by a singular purpose to help the premium cigar flourish. Today, we are proud to announce that we are evolving to meet the needs of the industry, not just for today, but for the future. IPCPR is now PCA, Premium Cigar Association.
Well, if we had sound, it would let you know exactly what this is all about. But we can stop it here for the Premium Cigar Association. What you can see here with this tobacco leaf, it has the green, it has the brown, and it has the gray. The dark green represents the tobacco fields in the factories where the tobacco is grown, where it's harvested. The deep browns represent, obviously, the tobacco as it is cured and how it is rolled into premium handmade cigars, as well as the pipe tobacco. And the gray is the ash, evidence of a cigar or pipe well enjoyed. It also represents, those 3 and 3 represents 1933, the year this organization was founded. The boldness of the PCA and the Premium Cigar Association is very distinct and was done with a very, very singular purpose, and that was to be a very stark and striking association forward logo and type treatment, responding specifically to the asks of how this comes across to policymakers and regulators that have no idea what we are about. So that's what the strength of this logo actually represents for us. But like I said, this is not just a logo or a name change. This is really ultimately about how we modernize, how we evolve, and how we adapt to not only protect, but to grow the premium cigar and pipe tobacco industry through innovation, education, advocacy, market research, and the facilitation of business relationships. So what that boils down to is really ultimately, we want to help you grow your business and we want to defend our industry. So let's talk a little bit about the defense of the industry. So this is a pretty true and accurate statement right here, right? Everybody knows defense wins championships. Here's the problem. We've been on nothing but the defensive over the past several years. So we're never going to win unless we start going on offense and scoring some points. So what we're looking to do, because this is a great little cartoon here for you all, we're that bunny right now. I think everybody feels it. Okay? So this is an ode to of mice and men. At any rate, that's us right now. And unless we go on the offensive and we start being proactive in what we do, we're going to continue to lose ground. So what does that proactive advocacy fight look like? We're covering every state. We've been building this model out for several years and we're practically there. Why do we want to do that? Everything happens and percolates from the state. There are over 40,000 municipalities in this country with laws and other regulations and taxes and everything else that is flying at all of your stores on a consistent basis. We do not have the funds to fight that fight, but we can do it in a smart way. What we want is we want our stories and our advocacy to reverberate and echo in the halls of every state capital. Your stories of small business, what you do for your communities, how you give back to the communities, and the jobs and the taxes that you pay is all critical, and it's all stories that actually move the needle. Josh may have said this earlier, but we're up on Capitol Hill over 30 times a month, building relationships, strengthening relationships, building it out so that we know who to ask to do when we want to get stuff done when we want it to get done. In August, we're launching the new PCA Foundation for Research and Education. This is a way for us to start continually producing more data that helps us in our message. September 5th, we have a Congressional Black Caucus event, the first time we've ever done this. We went visiting Capitol Hill with several Democrats, said this is the first time you've ever sat down in my office. We have a wonderful, beautiful townhouse where we're going to be hosting this event right before their legislative week. It's a great way for us to have the Congressional Black Caucus and the legislators that work in those offices to come and attend, have a cigar, have some drinks, and understand who we are and what we need in order for them to continue to help us. It's relationships we haven't had before, and some of them are new relationships that are going to get better. November 17th. So I'm sure you guys have all probably seen a lot of the emails that go out with us asking you for PAC donations. Well, guess what? We appreciate that, but we cannot continue to put the burden solely upon you. We're going to continue to do things like this, Casino Night PAC fundraiser. We're going to enable more PAC giving throughout the year because, again, it's no secret, you need money to be able to play in politics, and we need to be able to get influence, and that PAC is one of our best ways to do it. Instead of just a singular ask, we're going to put together annual legislative platforms. So it's not always just about the one note that we try to play of cigar exemption. While that continues to be a strong message for us, there are other legislative asks that we can go about for helping your businesses, whether it's tax related, whether it's payment processing related, whether it's HR issues related, any of these things. Which means we're also aligning with other industries to increase our stature and expand our credibility on Capitol Hill. The more we are aligned in these issues, the better we get at being able to be tied into the folks that we need to get to in order for us to move our agenda forward. Proactive legislation across the states, 175% more proactive legislation than the next high season. So we're out there, we're working hard with you and for you as well in all of these states. Now, onto the full service organization. What does this mean? So education is a key component of what we can be offering. We understand that we try to do some new things here as far as that's concerned, but we need to be doing it 365 days a year. On that note, in October, we are launching a pilot program, which is going to be an in-person workshop at our townhouse. It's a roadshow. We're going to go and continue that February 2020 in Dallas. And in April of 2020, we're going to launch our online learning platform. And this is a way that all of you as retailers will be able to have you, as well as your customers and even manufacturers, if you want with sales reps, to have training programs all built out and customized for you where you can track employee progress through any one of these programs. And the topics are going to be ranging from everything from inventory control to finance management to customer sales and service, up to and including things like FDA compliance and making sure that we're all on the appropriate level for carding and IDing. Information. What you see on the screen here is actually this brand new first magazine in PCA, the magazine. Hot off the presses, everyone's going to get one tomorrow at the breakfast meeting. It's an information. It's taking an approach of we want to be the Harvard Business Review for cigar retailers and manufacturers. This is a way for us to get best practices and examples from other industries, from our industry, into the hands of retailers on a bi-monthly basis. Networking opportunities. We mentioned a little bit about the roadshow programs, but there's also online networking opportunities and then also business opportunities, which I'm going to touch upon right here, right now with a new website. New website's going to be launching in September of this year. New tools and resources. One of those which we debuted a little bit earlier today with the Business Solutions Center, which comes with the buyer's guide with all the listings of companies so that you can have your products and your sales rep information updated instantaneously so that for our retailers, you guys get instant access to those anytime you need to. And the data is going to be accurate for you so that you can get in contact with the right rep at the right time for the right products that you need. We'll be producing white papers and best practices and standards. We already have a working group going right now on point of sale system and what the best practices are for those. Business resources like licensing information. It's all very different from all the states. We're working with a lot of the connections that we have in a lot of states. We have a lot of this information. We can centralize a repository for that type of information. Mentioned earlier about the learning management system and that portal. That portal is going to allow you access to customize how you can learn and how you can put those programs together. And the magazine is not going to be where it stops in the print form. We're going to be going and putting different resources online and expanding what you get for information-wise and education for the learning. With the blog, it's also going to allow opportunities for you all to share your insights and your expertise with the larger cigar retailer manufacturing community. And industry news, we've started the newsletter that's going out, but that website's going to continue to get built out with more and more news as it gets there. It's a centralized location for you to get everything you need. And then the IPCPR legislative site now, no more two different sites. It's all going to be in one place for you. So it's a one-stop shop for all of the news and information that you need, as well as any sort of legislative information and action. So let's get this plugged in. All right, so this is the question that is on everybody's mind. PCA and consumers. When we're looking, and as I mentioned a little bit earlier, there's 40,000 municipalities out there. The cigar community is small. We're powerful, but we're small. And the thing is that we need to enlist our massive army of consumers in our fight, as well as within the organization itself. So with that,
we're going all out. New experiences, new opportunities, new chances to connect and grow. The world's largest premium cigar and pipe event is changing. We're celebrating the best our industry has to offer. Fine cigars, spirits, accessories, and food. And for the first time ever, we're giving consumers a chance to get in on the action. They'll join the insiders, makers, and innovators who are crafting our future and experience the world of premium tobacco like never before. With small batch bourbon pairings, cigar rolling, and inspiring keynote speakers. Welcome to an event 88 years in the making. CigarCon, the world's premium cigar experience. For more information, go to premiumcigars.org. Next year.
So there's one key thing in there that I really want to point out. We talk about how we're revitalizing this trade show. The event, the entire event. If you notice, it wasn't until after we started revitalizing that also consumers are going to get on the action. It's a two-part experience. So not only are we looking at ways that we're going to enhance this entire trade show experience for everybody that's in this room for next year, we're also going to put on a consumer event. And a little bit more on that in a minute. So why CigarCon? Why now? As we talked about earlier, the changing landscape demands a more dynamic organization. CigarCon allows us to activate the consumer base and connect them to the industry in a way that does not exist anywhere else. It's going to catalyze growth for the industry, and it's going to provide a platform for a massive opportunity for telling our story. It binds the industry together, and it promotes this industry through the correct prism. And when I say that, what I mean is everybody loves to lump us in with other categories. But the reality is that this industry is unique, it is special, and that is the message that we're trying to get out en masse, right? We're doing it the best we can, but this event gives us the largest platform to do that. Generates annual excitement from consumers on up. I was literally getting messages on the IPCPR Facebook page just before this asking if this was only a business event that they could come to. But that consumer excitement can kind of filter on up, and it creates a difference in the way that the entire industry is seen and the way that this trade show progresses. It also allows us, like we talked about earlier, to grow the consumer base. By bringing in parallel luxury industries within this event, we're going to talk a little bit about the ideas behind that. It allows us, for people that love bourbon, for people that love Harley Davidson, that may not necessarily be cigar smokers, to be able to come to this event and get in on the action. As we talked about earlier, we're in the fight of our lives. Talk to anybody out there and they'll tell you this is the scariest time that this industry has ever faced. And one of the reasons why we want to activate this consumer base is because we want to enlist them in this fight in a way that's meaningful. So all proceeds from CigarCon are going to go to our legal and regulatory fight. I'm pretty sure everybody's aware of the amount of money and resources we are spending in order for that to happen. One thing we want to be crystal clear on though, this is not consumers coming to the trade show. What we're doing is we are leveraging the beauty, the grandeur, the size, scope, excitement, and energy for what all that stuff the manufacturers put into that show floor presents the best stage to put on an event that excites the customers, that presents an opportunity to engage in an experience that is unlike anything else that exists out there. So what it is a celebration of our industry. To showcase, not just for the consumers coming, but for everybody, about the very best of the premium tobacco industry and who we really are. For the consumer, it's access. It's not necessarily just about the commodity of a cigar. It's about the access to the industry. I have talked to hundreds of consumers. Yes, they love the cigars. Yes, they want to smoke the cigars, but they always are asking about what are they coming out with? What have you seen? Did you get to talk to this person? Or what about this? It's access that they are interested in. So we're looking to build the ultimate premium cigar experience to drive more business to the retail stores. We have been working on this for years. About 3 years ago, it's a bunch of our associate members that brought the idea of a consumer day to the retail board. At the time, it was not ready for prime time. It's been worked on, different iterations, figuring out what is the best way we can do this so that it benefits the retailer and provides an opportunity for maximum brand building and relationships for our manufacturers. This is not a grab bag. This is not trick or treat. This is not passing about 100 cigars going home with folks. This is a way that we can have the retailers be the conduits for the consumers coming to this so they can experience it through your eyes. You are the tasting entrees into the cigar world. For you as an ambassador for the sensory overload that is that show floor, you get to guide them, you get to introduce them to the makers and innovators behind this industry. And it provides an excitement that then builds back within your stores to get them coming back for more and gets them telling their friends all about this industry. Because ultimately, this is what we want, right? We all know this about cigars. And this is ultimately what we want this experience to be. So again, it's not about the commodity, about coming and getting a bunch of cigars. This is about the experience. This trade show floor, this event provides us the absolute best opportunity to create a platform that gives us the trajectory that we need to grow for our industry in order to have the influence to continue on the fight, but as well as possibilities to grow the consumer base and welcome potential new customers into this industry. So with that, we have some very special guests on the stage with me here. 2 retailers and 2 manufacturers. And we'd like to talk to them and get their thoughts on this as well, because again, this is just me talking to you, and that's fine. But getting the retailer and manufacturer perspective on why this event and now is so important and what it's going to be, I thought was very critical, and we all felt was very critical for everybody here. So Phil and Scott, as retailers, what is it about this consumer event, CigarCon, that excites you? How do you see this as a way that's going to benefit you as a retailer, a way for you to grow your business, and a way to get consumer excitement to new levels?
Can you hear me? So I want to add a couple details. You guys see me? I want to add some details. I want to talk a little bit about the schedule of the show and how the current model, how we're envisioning this work. So the way that the show is right now, the show is essentially the trade show floor is open for 3.5 days, with the first day before the 3.5 days being our seminar day. How we envision this working. You not hear me? How we envision this working for Consumer Day for next year is that Friday will continue to be an education day. So during the day, there'll be an education track for retailers and also an education track for consumers. That night, there will be some type of VIP/industry awards dinner that will kick off CigarCon. The next day will be Saturday, and so how we see this working is that the trade show floor will be open to consumers to walk around with retailers and see all these great booths and all these products showcased in the best possible light for about 6 hours, right? So the working model is from noon to 6 o'clock. Retailers will be able to be on the floor with consumers experiencing the show that how we experience it as retailers. And then that night, just like we're going to get ready to have tonight, will be an opening party, our kickoff to the trade show for everyone that's here, retailers, consumers, and manufacturers. Then the next 3 days will be 3 full days for business. It'll be 8-hour days for retailers and manufacturers to go through the regular practices of buying and selling and learning about new products. Consumers will not be allowed on the trade show floor during those 3 days of business. So essentially, we've taken the same block of days that we have now, we've eliminated a half day on the back end, and we've moved it forward to make that to CigarCon, and then 3 full days of business, of B2B business. The other thing that I want to emphasize is that this retail board, this entire board, is focused on making this event productive for retailers. As Scott said, this is not a grab bag for consumers to come and walk away with hundreds of cigars. It's about experience, and it's about retailers being able to use this event to build experience and build the loyalty of their customers. So one of the things that we're working on, and we obviously, we want feedback throughout the next 3 days while we're here, but one of the things that we're working on, the idea in our mind, is to be able to use some type of digital software, whether it's an app or something else, for customers as they're walking around the show floor to take pictures of products that they're interested in, and at the end of the day, the Consumer Day, the CigarCon, that information could be then emailed to the retailer before they work onto the show floor. So what we see this as an opportunity for lead generation for the retailers that are getting ready to go around and visit booths and use it as a buying opportunity. So, we look at this as an opportunity for retailers to hopefully go back to their stores and convert sales that maybe they weren't able to convert before. Consumers are going to see stuff that retailers might not necessarily stock in their stores. This is going to be the ultimate shopping experience, and we're excited about being able to invite consumers to come onto the floor and experience what we experience as retailers.
Oh, it's working. I joined the board 3 years ago, and when we first started talking about this then, I vocally declared that it's exactly why I got on this board. We all know that the IPCPR, this organization, this convention needed change, and things need to happen. The idea of bringing a Consumer Day in has been talked about many, many times over the years, and I think it's important to realize that this is an opportunity for us as retailers to have a next step engagement with our customers and provide them something. Everyone here, our customers know where we are right now. They're excited to hear about what we have to say and see. For us to get to we're going to have guaranteed people from up down with me, and I'm not going to just go turn them loose and say, hey, go check out this trade show. I'll be in the casino drinking. I'm going to be with them, hanging out, engaging, getting to know them better on a personal level, introducing them to all these guys, showing them what we get to see, and what's going to be extremely valuable feedback, because they get to see a Calibri booth of every lighter and cutter that we all cannot stock everything that's on this floor. Additionally, we're going to have a day to walk through with them. We're not worrying about placing orders. We're not tied up with an hour at every booth to make our orders, get what we need. We're going to get to see what all the associates are bringing to the show with our customers, get live feedback. They can't buy anything there, but they're going to tell us what they think about stuff. It's going to be great insight from their point of view before we have to spend a nickel to know what they're thinking. And then the next day they're gone. We can go and make better educated decisions than we've ever been able to before. But it's going to be about that engagement with your customers. They're never going to forget the time they had with you at this show to see these incredible booths compared to an 8-foot table with a display behind it. I mean, this is going to be sensory overload for them. If you think back to your first show and how unbelievably overwhelming it is to see all this stuff, there's no time, you can't get through it all, it's impossible. Now we get to be our customers' guides, get great feedback, and give them an experience they'll never forget, and they will come back to you, hopefully forever, and talk to the other customers about it. This isn't going to be getting a smorgasbord of cigars from every manufacturer here. They're going to have to pick those out and talk to the manufacturers, talk to us, decide what number, and we don't know the full numbers yet. There's going to be tiers, but maybe say they're going to get 30. They're not going to get a bag of 30 cigars and say, go nuts. It's going to be engaging with the associates, talking to us as retailers, figuring out what they want to try, picking out what they want. It's going to be a complete engaging day that I'm frankly extremely excited about, because the feedback and information for us will be invaluable. The experience for them is going to be invaluable, and an experience they'll never forget. And it's going to bring excitement back to me as a retailer to get to show this off. I mean, I had customers texting me while I'm here asking what's new, send pictures. This ticket's not going to be $50. It's going to be expensive. We're going to get your good guys who are willing to spend the money to fly out here, to get a hotel. It's not going to affect what they spend with me when they get home, because they're going to spend a pretty penny to come for this experience. Not to get a bunch of cigars, not to have a big free-for-all. It's going to be an experience that they'll never forget, and they will thank you for bringing them along and having the time with us.
One thing we did want to mention as well, again, the focus on this is how can we make this the most beneficial to retailers as possible. We want to drive registration through you. We want you to be the ones who are picking the customers essentially. This is not going to open up to the general public and just be a mad dash. We want you, again, you're the tasting gatekeepers for the entree into the industry. We want you also to be the ones that are getting your customers to come to this. We're not saying buy the tickets for them by any means, but we want you to be the drivers of the registration, the conduits by which they're all coming to this and registering for this. Well, we're a little short of time, but I wanted to be able to get a manufacturer's perspective for you all to hear about this, because obviously we know that there's quite a bit of change as far as this is concerned. But understanding that this is an experience where we want to use the trade show floor to be able to engage consumers, I would like to get Rocky and Christian's perspective on this as manufacturers. What excites you about CigarCon? Why as a manufacturer does this make sense to you, and why is it that you are so behind this?
Well, one of the hardest things in our industry is to be able to grow our categories and to bring fresh blood, new excitement, new generations to enjoy this art form, this craft form, this cottage industry that is a labor of love that takes so much work. And these people are hungry for knowledge. We have shows like the Big Smoke. We have the Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival. We have Cigar Fest. Some of these tickets are sold out in 12 minutes. People are hungry for information. They want to learn. They want to meet. We spend tens of thousands of dollars building these beautiful booths, small manufacturers, medium manufacturers, large manufacturers. Now they have the opportunity to see the new products, the new blends, learn about how we get all the different tobaccos, how we age the tobaccos, ferment the tobaccos, and make these cigars. They're going to take this knowledge and bring it back to you. And when they come back to your stores, they're going to want to buy these brands. They're going to be hungry. They're going to taste some of these cigars. They're going to look for this knowledge. You know, it's going to be an amazing thing. It's going to be the world's greatest show. When you have the opportunity to have spirits, food, ancillary products, there's a lot of thought that's been gone into really marketing this show. We've got a firm out of New York that is working with Diageo, that's working with Guinness, that's working with Breitling. They're going to do a great job promoting this stuff, creating excitement, creating buzz in this industry. We've spent just in legal fees $3 $3.6 million this year, on top of the millions and millions of dollars that we've spent on lobbying. This money was spent between CRA and IPCPR together to fight this fight. We haven't gotten into the meat of the issues, the substantial, the warnings have been pushed back, pre-market review, substantial equivalence has been pushed back. Well, these things are going to be fought when we get to the meat of the arguments in courts, because I'm not sure we're going to get the relief from the FDA. We're hopeful, but we don't know what the end objective is going to end up. And so this show ultimately hopes to be profitable enough where we can take that money, and all the money raised from this consumer show that helps the retailers is going to go towards this battle. That money is going to go into a pool to help fight the cause for the future of this industry. So it's going to create a new buzz, it's going to create excitement, it's going to create a great experience, it's going to be promoted through social media out there, and I think it's going to be a great thing for the industry. We got to look forward, we can't look backwards, and we got to think about how we're going to grow this industry together and be beneficial as partners together.
Hey, I don't want to age some people here, but can you raise your hands real quick if you were in the business in the late 80s and 90s? A few of you guys. Now, who was in the business in the mid-90s during the cigar boom? You guys remember the energy? Dude, the energy that existed in the stores was incredible until, finally the cigar boom started ending in 98. It started, and then 1999, 2000, this fucking guy Meathead started with whole smoking bans. And ever since, it was a kick in the teeth, month after month, year after year. Then the S-chip in 2008. It just kept happening to us. Then the FDA came in. And now, like Scott was saying, we need to go on the offensive. This is a chance that we have to really bring the excitement back to this industry. This means so much to so many of us. Today I celebrate my 24th year in the business. My father's been in business forever. My grandfather started 102 years ago. I have a lot of friends, I have mentors. I see Carlos, I see a lot of these people here. Dude, this means everything to all of us. But we also mean a lot to a lot of your customers. Your customers walk into your stores. These guys make a decision to make your stores part of their daily routine. We are very important to these guys. Why not offer these guys that opportunity? Why not have this trade show to have 6,000 to 7,000 people show up here? We can do it. We can actually go on the offensive. We can actually make this the guys weekend of the year. This will be tremendously exciting. I know a lot of people are worried, and because change, no one likes change. The only thing we have changes are underwear. But everything else, no one likes to change anything. Dude, let's go for the change. Let's do it. Let's give it. Let's go balls out. Let's make this thing happen. I know it can work. I believe it can work. I know we can raise a lot of money for this industry as well, because we need the money as well. But it's not so much the money. Imagine going into your stores, and all of a sudden you have 30, 50 people coming in that normally didn't come into your stores. That's business. And that's what we can do. We can do it for you guys. We're going to be respectful of everybody. These guys are open to any suggestion you guys have. Whatever concerns you have, just tell us. Or tell them. Not me, tell them. But whatever it is, man, we're going to do it. We're going to make this work. And I hope you guys join us, man. We really want this to work. And thank you. Thank you guys for supporting it.
So on that note, one of the main reasons why we didn't want to, just put this out in a press release and kind of let it sit, we wanted to use this platform to engage you all. So on that note,